give us the broad brush explanation of the cartel's roles in facilitating illegal immigration across the southern border. Why do they do it, and how big is their role?
Well, I think one of the biggest problems that I face and that my team faces in getting the word out is that the US government and US media outlets, well, first off, most media outlets ignore what's going on. Fox doesn't, Breitbart doesn't, a few others. But one of the problems is that we don't realize that all of these different cartels, right? We have 9 sectors on our southwest border, our border with Mexico. And all of these different cartels control different regions of that border. And all of them have different MOs. All of them have different ways they do business. They have different approaches to their business models, right? They have different business models. And as we move west along the border, the cartels there seem to be a lot more mature. They have older people in leadership, and they make decisions not only to make money today, but to make money tomorrow. They want to have long-term profits coming in. But as we move into the Texas border and we look at 2 groups, the Gulf Cartel and Los Zetas, what we find is that they don't really care if what they're doing today brings a lot more law enforcement presence and cameras. They know that it's going to hurt their business tomorrow, but they don't care. And that's why we see most of the people who come here illegally or for asylum, the people, whether you call them migrants or illegal aliens, whatever terminology you want to use, there's a mixture of all of that. That's why they come to these very specific areas. It's because the particular factions of the particular cartels who control that territory there have decided that they want to embrace asylum seekers and illegal immigrants and migrants and refugee seekers and all of these things. They want to embrace them as a business model. So when we look at south of Texas and McAllen,
How does that work? How does the business model work? Like, how do the cartels make money off of it?
Okay, so what they do is they go into Central America, specifically the Reynosa faction of the Gulf Cartel. They go into Central America and they encourage people to come, and they say, look, I know you don't have the money to come right now, but you don't have to have it. We know where your mom is. We know where your family is as collateral. You can go to the United States. We'll get you there. You're going to owe us $7,500 or $10,000 or $5,000, depending on when it is. But you're going to owe us this money, and you can make payments to us every 2 weeks. And you can pay it off over a number of years so that you can actually go there and your family will have something back here. Your mom isn't walking around barefoot or having to do other people's laundry in their underwear. And you can have some prestige for your family and have some money. And so these people say, you know what? Okay, like I'm going to do it. And so they get in this agreement with the Gulf Cartel, and the Gulf Cartel smuggles them in. They train them what to say. Some people want to be smuggled in secretly, and that's one deal that they get into, where they sneak them across the border and then sneak them into the interior of the United States. And others, they don't have any criminal records or what have you. So the Gulf Cartel trains them what to say. And they said, you say you're in fear for your life, you request asylum, and this is what you're going to do. And those are the people that we see turning themselves into Border Patrol, which are the vast majority right now. Wasn't during the Trump years, but it is now in the Biden administration. So and then those people are used to divert attention so the Gulf Cartel can get drugs in over here when they're sending families over here. It's a huge mess, but it all really is dependent on the specific cartels that we're talking about.
So why would the people want to get caught? Why would they want to get detained and say, okay, I'm applying for asylum? Because it's a very low chance they're actually going to get asylum, though they'll be released into the United States. I realize the Haitian thing is an exception to this because Biden had a temporary program that said you're all going to be allowed to stay temporarily, given what's happening in Haiti. And so that was a major incentive, though you had to be here before July 29th, though a lot of people didn't get that memo, as it turns out. But my point is, in general, what would be the incentive to actually declare yourself and deal with Border Patrol as opposed to just sneaking in and trying to get a job?
Well, you get to be here, and you get to be here. And it's a lot more likely that you're going to get to stay in the U.S. if you turn yourself in and request asylum and wait the years for your hearing, right, while you're free in the U.S. working, than it is if you get caught sneaking in. it's a very different situation. So if people step on our soil and they walk up to the first U.S. authority that they see and they say, hey, I want asylum, that's a very different situation. And they're much more likely to get to stay for a longer period of time and have what's called a successful migration attempt, right? They're much more likely to get to stay if they do it that way. And you know, Megyn, a lot of people miss this, and people ask me all the time. They said, well, is Biden responsible? I'm like, well, he's in part responsible, right? A big part responsible. The administration is, but what it is anytime with illegal immigration or irregular migration or whatever you want to call it, you have to have push factors and pull factors, right? So the push factor is that it's horrible to live wherever they're living for whatever reason. And the pull factor is if our policies encourage them to come, if our policies make them think that they're going to get to stay, then if you have those two factors together, it is inevitable that people are going to leave where it's bad and come where they think it's better. And that's what we have going on right now.